In the first video, we discussed the events that led up to Eric Wright's passing at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. After he died, then fighting for his company, Ruthless Records took a bizarre twist. Join me as I discuss what happened after Eric's passing in part 2 of Eazy E's last days in the battle for Ruthless Records. On March 26, 1995, Eric Wright, aka Eazy E, passed away, leaving his friends, family, and the hip-hop community in a state of shock, sorrow, and sadness. Now the artists and the employees are concerned, wondering what's going to happen with Ruthless Records going forward, especially since Tomica just seized power and took over the company. Gary Ballard stated, the very next day, word was going around in the office that something funny happened to Eric. The way he died just didn't sit right with us. So while Eric's death was the topic of the day, Mike Klein was coming to work in the office, ready to run the day-to-day operations of Ruthless. But to his surprise, he was approached by security guards who blocked his entrance, and he was denied access into the building. These sudden actions confused and upset Klein. But as we all know, Mike isn't the type to back down from a fight. He knew right off the bat this was Tomica's doing. So Mike took action, and even though he still had the mentality of a hot-blooded mercenary, he knew he couldn't conduct business that way, so he took the smarter route. Mike filed a $5 million lawsuit against Tomica and attorney Ron Sweeney, charging them with illegitimately taking over the label and improperly seizing funds. When Vibe magazine asked Klein about the lawsuit, Klein stated Eazy had no interest in getting married, and whatever will he may have signed on his deathbed, he signed because he was not in the right state of mind. So with Eric deceased, Tomica over his estate, and Mike having a legitimate claim to the company, the battle for Ruthless Records was now in full swing. Klein's lawsuit over Eric's estate was brought to the attention of the trustees at Chemical Bank and Trust. The trustees had to get involved because the lawsuit affected the estate. Seeing that they were the ones who handled Eric's affairs before he went into a coma, they had to conduct a separate investigation to who had the rightful claims of the estate. During the investigation, it was revealed that there were several master recordings of unpublished songs contained in 2 metal briefcases in the trunk of Eric's Mercedes-Benz. There were hundreds of songs, complete and incomplete, on CDs and DATs, DAT, which is an acronym for digital audio tapes. When the trustees found out about the recordings, they attempted to track down the locations of the masters because they were now considered part of the estate and under the protection of the court. But they found out the briefcases went missing from the car while Eric was in the hospital. With all this conflict and confusion going on surrounding the estate, the trustees and the estate judge decided to shut down Ruthless' office, and since Klein, Sweeney, and Woods were all tangled up in the legal battle, they couldn't be nowhere near the label until further notice. So the estate judge appointed a neutral administrator to run the day-to-day operations. This infuriated Klein. So Klein moves to Ontario, Canada, opens up an office over there, and calls it, you guessed it, Ruthless Records. Yes, Mike Klein opens up a Ruthless Records in Canada. Now with this revelation being made, I'm going to be talking about 2 Ruthless Records, and it's going to be a bit confusing. So to keep the confusion down, I'll call the Ruthless in California Ruthless LA, and the Ruthless Records in Canada Ruthless Canada. After Klein started Ruthless Canada, he was able to hack into Ruthless LA phone system, change the number, and had all the phone calls and answering services redirected to Ruthless Canada. And to top it off, Mike was the one who was in the possession of the steel briefcases. Now, although Ruthless LA office was temporarily closed, there was still active employees going to the office, and they had no idea of what just transpired. Shortly afterwards, Mike and many other people who was close to Eazy was contacted by a homicide detective from the Beverly Hills Police Department. They were looking into Wright's death and investigating to see if Eric died on his own or if his death was induced. Now, there's 3 cases surrounding Eric Wright. That's the estate battle, the lawsuit, and now a possible murder case. And the prime suspects in all 3 cases were Tomica Wright and Ron Sweeney. Speaking of Ron Sweeney, let me give you a quick backstory about him so you'll know why his role is so prominent in this saga. Ron Sweeney is an entertainment lawyer. He was working for Motown Records under Clarence Avon when he met Tomica. While working there, they established a good working relationship. So when Tomica met Eric and started working at Ruthless Records, she brought Ron with her. And Ron ended up becoming the attorney representing Ruthless. So in the beginning, he represented everybody, including Eric, Jerry Heller, the artists, etc. But through it all, he always kept Tomica's best interests at heart, which is why they were the dynamic duo during Tomica's rise to power at Ruthless. Now, before Eric got sick, Ron helped him secure a distribution deal with Relativity Records, which at the time was the independent distributor under Sony Music Entertainment. Now, speaking of Relativity, do you remember when I made that mention of the unknown individual who snuck in the studio and made illegal copies of Bone Thugs and Harmony Masters? Well, after that happened, unofficial versions of E 1999 started showing up on the black market. Coincidentally, Relativity was in the process of manufacturing E 1999 and to get it ready for distribution. During the manufacturing process, a worker, who I'ma call Matt, noticed something wasn't right with the master reel. He stopped the process to analyze the reel, and he realized it wasn't the authentic master. So Matt stopped the entire manufacturing process, and Relativity called Ruthless LA to express this concern. Problem is, the call got redirected to Ruthless Canada, so the manufacturing process for E 1999 was put on hold. Because had this process went through and Relativity would have manufactured from that false reel, it would have been problematic for Ruthless Records, Relativity, Sony Music Entertainment, and the record stores that was going to carry the albums on their shelves. Ruthless LA finally caught wind of what was going on when they received a playlist from a radio station in Canada stating, "Here's the playlist you requested." They found it odd because, to their knowledge, they didn't have any business dealings in Canada. So Ruthless LA did some research and discovered there was a Ruthless Records set up in Ontario, Canada, ran by Mike Klein. When Tomica and Sweeney found out what Mike did, along with him being in possession of the missing briefcases, Sweeney called Mike and confronted him, asking him who gave you permission to start a company and call it Ruthless Records. We could have you shut down because that's copyright infringement. And Klein replied, "You forgot, I'm part owner, and this is a free country, I can do what I want to do." And Tomica demanded that Klein return the briefcases, but Mike wasn't the guy you just bark demands at, and he wasn't about to give them up. With these recent turn of events, the trustees at Chemical Bank requested to set up a meeting with Klein. The only issue was Klein had a situation to where he couldn't come back to the United States, so the trustees agreed to meet him in Canada. In the meeting, they asked Klein did he know about the recent bootlegging of Bone music. Mike admitted that he knew about it, but Relativity was the ones they needed to talk to regarding that matter. They asked him about Ruthless Canada. He admitted to opening his own company but didn't plan on signing any orders. And over the next couple of hours of negotiating and deliberating, Mike decided to shut down Ruthless Canada because it was illegal to open up another company with the same name. After the meeting, Mike sent word to Tomica that she still wanted the briefcases. He wanted $25,000 for each one. She agreed, and because of Mike's situation, they had to send a middleman to Canada to exchange the money for the briefcases. And as far as the lawsuit goes, Tomica decided to settle out of court with Klein for an undisclosed amount, giving her full ownership over the label. But some folks still weren't happy. People close to the situation was complaining about how poorly Tomica was running the label. Bizzy Bone stated, Tomica don't know what she's doing. She came from Motown, that's true, but that's an R&B label. This is hip hop. There were also complaints about Tomica and Sweeney frivolously spending and not paying the bills. However, they released E 1999 right on time and it went multi-platinum, and the next year they released Eazy E posthumous album Straight Off the Motherfucking Streets of Compton and a string of other albums, but Ruthless never regained the momentum that Eazy E was striving for before he passed. Now, I say one guy for last, and that man is Jerry Heller. The biggest piece of the puzzle, and besides Eric and Dr. Dre, he was the most important figure at Ruthless Records, and an important asset helping Ruthless get distribution with 3 major labels at the same time, with Priority, Epic, and Atlantic. But you know the old saying, your greatest asset can be your greatest detriment, because besides the major distribution deals, artists were complaining about not getting paid. Eric already hearing disgruntled artists saying he needed to get rid of Jerry. And when Tomica and Sweeney came on board, Tomica was telling Eric about how horrible job Jerry was doing showing paperwork of missing money. Sweeney had a problem with Jerry because Sweeney also owned a video game company, and he wanted to produce a video game starring Eazy E. So Eric went to Jerry about the deal, and Jerry blocked it. Sweeney, Tomica, and Mike Klein rallied up and got Eazy to push Jerry out. And after Jerry was out of Ruthless, Sweeney represented Mike in ending the management deal he had with Jerry before shit went sour between them. With Jerry out of the way, the coast was clear for Tomica and Sweeney to gain access to all of Eric's accounts. I'm saying that to say this. This is something to think about. What if Jerry never left Ruthless? Do you think they would have been able to take over Ruthless the way they did? Or do you think they would have met resistance from Jerry? Do you think Tomica would have been able to marry Eric on his deathbed? There's no doubt that Tomica and Sweeney got away with murder, but Jerry's presence may have been the difference maker, because Jerry was the go-to guy at Ruthless. Me personally, I believe if Jerry was still around at Ruthless, the outcome may have been different. But what's funny is how Tomica accused Jerry of mismanaging the company, and then turn right around, she gets accused for the same thing. When Jerry went into business with Eric, he stated he didn't want his name on none of the paperwork for legal reasons. So, for lawsuits and taxes and, different things like that. He wanted to keep his name off the paperwork. Which it worked for him to a degree, but it turned around and bit him in the ass, because when he tried to sue the estate, it didn't hold up in court because he didn't have his name on the papers. Unfortunately, this has gone down as the crime of the century in hip-hop. And that's it for part 2 of Eazy E Last Days and the battle for Ruthless Records. Hope you enjoyed the video. Click like, share, and subscribe. And be on the lookout for more GTR Presents.